What?
Not
He's
as much.
lying.
No, not as much as I usually
He's
do.
lying, guys. Hey guys, welcome back to the Big Dane podcast. I'm your host, Dana Trimborn. And just to recap for everyone, we split the last episode and this episode into two parts. Matt and I just rambled on, so I wanted to just make it a point to keep it short like I promised you guys. So I split the episodes for you. And so in the part one, we touched on theme songs in TV shows and old TV shows and movies. And this episode and in part two, we're gonna get into some fun stuff with just any kind of new music you've been listening to and even some instruments too. So let's start it up. Do you have any go-to music now? You know, is it different? Like, has it changed at all?
Did you not like country before? Now you like it?
Or, you know, when you're working out, I always have like a go-to workout radio, basically, on Pandora or on Spotify. Basically the same thing. But some of the songs definitely kind of vary. But the Loud Luxury radio, I'll put that on Pandora, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so great. It's just like all this pump up, and I'm like ready to go, ready to do my squats, lunges, you know.
Yeah. I haven't been listening to that much music.
What?
Not
He's
as
lying.
much. No, not as much as I usually
He's
do.
lying, guys. I don't know if that picked up, but I think
Oh, it
so.
did.
Okay.
The light doesn't need to be blinking for it to be hearing you. Probably because I've been making it. So.
Well, I don't know. I feel like you're always listening to music.
Well, during the workday, I'm actually listening to podcasts all the time. I rarely listen to music while I'm working.
Sometimes I'll listen to music while I'm working. Kind of depends on what I'm doing. If it's something just kind of mindless and like, since I'm in sales, I got to look up a bunch of people. So while I'm doing those kind of searching, like I'll just put my headphones in just to make it more fun. And, you know, maybe I'll put on my country because I feel like a lot of times I'm listening to maybe something Matt put on that's like EDM like all the time, and I'm like, I need my country. So
Or metal.
Okay, definitely not metal because I don't like metal, but I'm like, I need my country fix, so I'll put maybe country on for a little bit, and then I don't know, but then other times like I found this really nice playlist to listen to. It's just kind of like jazz. This was in the fall, actually. It was like autumn jazz. It was like real great.
It was like autumn jazz or soft jazz, something like that.
But it was so nice and relaxing. And like, wow, I'm just going to type away here and just crank out some work. And it was lovely. It was definitely one you want to check out on Spotify.
If you're looking for nice dinner music or something.
Yeah, that could transition to dinner music. I feel like with dinner music, then I'd want like a upbeat. Then I'd look for Brazilian jazz. I tend to type that in too, and that's more of like a beep ba ba boo ba bee doo ba doo ba da ba.
So it's a little spicier.
Yeah.
Just like Brazilian food.
Yeah, but at work, like sometimes I will put on like another podcast, but if we take away the time that we're in and Corona and all that jazz, no pun intended.
Jazz, lol.
But I don't put anything on because we are a small business, so it's just my boss and I, so I can't be like playing music and then she's asking me a question. It's just like, it's not how we work. So When in the office like that, when it's the two of us, then I can't really put anything on. So unless like she's coming later or whatever, then maybe I'll put something on. But I've been putting more music or podcasts on now while I'm home, because I know I don't have to like really bother anyone, because Matt always is plugged in with his earbuds and I'm like, hello, hello.
No, she's just always bothering me.
No, that's not true. So, do you have any other new fun stuff? Is there a new podcast you've been listening to? Or
I've been really liking The Journal and Freakonomics. Those are like my
do they
tops.
have cool intro theme songs?
No, not as cool as yours or Nailed It's.
Yeah. I suppose.
Dana has very good tastes when it comes to intro music.
Why, thank you. Thank you. So kind. Well, what about, I know like you've been off and on kind of like playing the piano, and your friend Nico's been teaching you, and you took one of his classes, and and we can get into that in a second. But one of my friends, I was asking, like, we were kind of catching up a little bit, and she was telling me that her husband was taking virtual piano lessons. Yeah. Isn't that cool? So there you go. I don't know if anyone is, learning something new as
with
far
your
as
extra time.
As far as stop. I'm trying to talk. Oh my god. I look my shadow like yeah, so if you have maybe a new instrument, or maybe there's an instrument in the closet it's coming out of the closet.
Cue the if we had like a soundboard right now, I wish we could have played like a sitcom laughter track.
It'd be like kids
track.
like laughing like that kid laugh that's like, the generic one or whatever.
You should put that on your list as an upgrade to the studio.
Yeah.
A soundboard.
The studio of the living room.
You can make anywhere is a studio. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I feel like learning an instrument's a much more productive use of time than playing Call of Duty all the time.
Definitely. I feel like it's, well, yeah, I mean, because you're using your brain a little bit more, like you're opening up that creativity side, and
there's emotion attached to it too.
Oh, emotion, and I feel like also once you start something new, it's kind of like that itch you want to scratch and like you want to keep doing. Like kind of like what I'm doing now. Like I just had a moment. I'm like, oh my gosh, I should start this now while we're in quarantine, because I have all this time. So like everyone else, they have like all this extra time, like usually, that it's like, all right, now let me check off that last thing that was at the bottom of the list, that was, let's tune up my cello, or whatever.
Let me restring my cello.
Let me restring my cello with the strings that I have. I don't have any strings. No, I don't have a cello either. But
no, I think it was like, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I think it's like just picking up if you can play an instrument, picking it up and playing it again, or learning a new instrument. I think one thing I noticed when I was taking my friend Nico's piano course is that before you sit down at the piano, you kind of don't feel like you want to do it, because it seems like it's going to be like work or something like that. But then when you start playing and you start creating these beautiful sounds with your fingers, then you're kind of like, this is cool.
Yeah, you kind of get in a groove. You're like, yeah, it's either, if it's something that you learned previously and now you're picking it back up, you're like, oh yeah, like I remember this, because it's that same muscle memory. It's like that kind of continues through music, through sports. Like I feel like a lot of things that people don't realize. Like I used to play the drums, and one of our friends has an electric drum set, and I had played over there. This was maybe the end of last summer into the fall or something like that. I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is so fun. Like I wish I had an electric drum set and just could mess around on it. But it's total muscle memory, and like beats that I had remembered when I was like 9 years old, like it was still with me. So it was kind of amazing to see that. And I don't know if I had. What about a new instrument? Like, would there be something that you would pick up now? Do you think?
Like the trombone? Are you asking me, or are you asking?
Huh. Shit. No, Alexa, we weren't asking you. Christ.
That was funny. What instrument would I pick up? What do I want to learn? I would really love to learn how to play the organ. Because even though it's like it looks like a crazy piano, it's much harder to play than the piano. Like the piano is actually really easy to learn and play, but the organ is way harder because you also have your feet involved as well. So you have to same with drumming, like you know how you have to kind of get the different reactions with your limbs.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Same thing with organ, except now you're just pressing different notes.
Well, what about with the piano though? If you had, a classic piano, like not like a keyboard, right? And you still have to press. I don't know what they're called because I never played piano.
This is a sustain pedal.
So you still have to press that every so often, right? Or not?
There's
as
a
much?
little bit of coordination involved in that, but it's pretty easy to get down. Like when I was taking Nico's course, he stressed using it. So I would practice. I have a sustain pedal for my keyboard. I would practice using it and lifting it off before you hit the next chord or something like that. But you eventually get used to it, and it's much easier to pick up. And it's only one.
But the organ is more like the drums all the time.
Yeah, you have to move your feet.
Well, I remember growing up with going to Sunday school and seeing the giant organ that we had. We went to a large church, it was just massive. So they had a beautiful organ, and it was just amazing. And they had this little star at the top, and then when they would turn that on, it almost to me sounded like wind chimes. So it was kind of cool. It rotate maybe clockwise. It could have very well gone counterclockwise. I really don't know because I haven't gone to church.
Do you remember that organ at Longwood Gardens?
Yes.
That is probably the most complex organ you've ever seen.
Really?
Or you've ever been near, yeah.
Wow.
So the thing is like a regular church organ. Some churches have pretty massive organs, but the more complex the organ gets, the more controls it has. And that's another complicated thing about playing it is if you wanted to change the tone of maybe this keyboard, you would have to pull out this knob, push that button, and just change it so it's correct.
Yeah. So intense. I don't know what I would try. Growing up, we actually had a piano. It was my grandmom's. It was my dad's mom, and then she passed when I was 3. So then we inherited the piano. But
what
then
kind of piano?
it was
upright?
a baby grand.
Oh, a baby grand?
Baby grand.
Oh, nice.
A grande de bebe.
I was thinking it was going to be an upright piano.
No. So, it was a shame because my brother and I, we were interested in other instruments. It's we wanted to try he tried the guitar, and then let me just back up. He started with the violin. He did Suzuki, and then it was cello. And then the cello overlapped with the guitar. And meanwhile, I did violin and then into drums. And we just never did the piano at all. We just weren't interested. As crazy as that sounds, I know. But I don't know. It's I'm trying to put myself in my parents' shoes. And it's if my kid is asking or my child is asking me, I want to play this, I feel you probably aren't going to say, well, why don't you just play the piano? Because it's in your house. Like kind of like the convenience versus like what does my child like want to learn. And I think it's the fact of like the learning what like versus like the want aspect, because like want sounds like awful, you know, like
Yeah.
need and want, and you know what does that mean,
That
but
stigma, yeah.
yeah. So yeah, we just like my brother and I, we would like kind of plan on and like pretend and do the this is terrible, but this song with it's like dun 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 dun.
Chopsticks.
Yes, we would play that. Like he would do one part, I would do the other because we didn't know how to do both at the same time. So
You can't do it two fingers.
Well, no, like if
Oh,
I
that
would do two parts, like I can't tell my right hand to do this, and my my brain is no.
So the rhythm part, basically, the rhythm part is
Yeah. Yeah.
and then the lead is like
Yeah. So I would do one, he would do the other, and sometimes we'd like reverse, you know.
Okay.
So that was like always fun. But that was to the extent of it. But oh, and I failed to mention this part. My grandma, she used to be a piano teacher. So that was the other part. It's like she passed when I was so little for me even to like begin to even understand like, oh, this is the piano and this is how you play it and this is what this means and C and F and whatever. But yeah, so that was my experience with
Did you
instruments.
say what instrument you wanted to learn?
Oh, I did not.
Just rambled on.
Oops.
I thought I missed it. I just wanted to make sure.
That's a good question, but I think it would be cool to learn the guitar because I never obviously learned that. Like I played string instruments, but
Well, luckily we
that
have
one.
some in this house.
Yeah.
Are you
Maybe-
hinting that you want me to give you guitar lessons?
No, not at all. But yeah, that's another topic of discussion, perhaps. But
Maybe for another day. After you go through some guitar training.
yeah, I'll have to report back to you guys.
Or
but-
maybe you should take Nico's course and
For the
learn
piano?
Yeah.
Well, you do have the keyboard, so.
And I do have access to his course.
So much about Nico. No, Nico's pretty cool. He's a music producer, and Matt could speak more about him. But he has this online piano course, and kind of goes through kind of like what would you say, like a step by step, like, and it's like a video too. Like he kind of is it live or?
No, it's
Kinda like
recorded. He pre-recorded like lessons with the piano, and he has like a couple of shots. So he has a shot of like him like upright playing,
Yeah.
and then he has like an overhead shot of what he's doing with his
right.
hands.
I do remember seeing that when you did that.
Yeah, and it's really good.
Yeah.
But it's called pianoforproducers.com, and he, instead of like, so the Chopsticks song or whatever,
Dun, dun, dun.
I don't actually think that's called Chopsticks. I may have made a mistake.
Oh
Anyway,
my gosh.
sorry. Anyway,
Someone's
I don't
too
want to
confident
segue.
over here.
I don't want
Great.
to segue. But yeah, so he, instead of like a piano teacher teaching you how to do chopsticks like the standard thing, he'll actually like he teaches you how to play like pop songs and songs you enjoy. So it's actually more engaging. I think that's one thing that I really like took away. I like learned better from it because I actually liked playing the songs. Liked the songs I was playing. So highly recommended.
Oh, apparently is Heart and Soul and Chopsticks.
Oh, Heart and Soul is the name of the song, but
Oh.
Chopsticks is a different song.
Oh, okay. There you go. There you have it, people.
Yeah, the song
You corrected it.
The song you were thinking of is Heart and Soul.
Because what's memorable for me, and this kind of ties in what we were speaking about earlier, is movies. So the film Big with Tom Hanks, and he's like, I don't know. He's like a young boy, and then he turns into like an adult, and it's that movie. And then he's in the toy store with his best friend, but his best friend is still like a child, and he's like an adult. And then they play on the big piano on the floor with their feet. So then they play around like dun dun dun, and they go into it. And that's what I remember about the song.
Oh.
And that's how I remember about the song too.
Yeah, it's very well known.
So Heart and Soul.
It's a good one.
And if you want to
If you want to learn some piano, pianoforproducers.com.
Yeah, piano for producers. You're welcome, Nico. We got you.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again for listening. Please subscribe and tell your friends and family, your neighbors, all the cats and dogs that you see around your neighborhood when you go out like I do.
Especially the cats.
And we'll see you next time.
See ya.
Bye.